let's see if this actually worked. Let's take a peek. It worked. All right. Holy pancakes. Good morning, people. Give folks a second to drift in, I suppose, while this thing loads up. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, y'all. Day 2, sorry for being late. I was trying to set my stream up, and I only have the one scene set up, so we're gonna get after it. There's some more work to do. It's not easy being a streamer, guys, at all. Shout out to my girl for making all the overlays. So let's go ahead and get into, let's see what we got here. I need to reshape this. In this view, it looks like. So let's just do one of these real quick. Cool. All right. So in our main scene, cool. All right. So day 2, let's go ahead and talk about what happened yesterday, right, in the markets. To start this off, we had the nice little drift up, prior session high sweep. Let's go ahead and just take a look at either of these. Let's go to ES, okay, and let's replay back to here, okay. So this was before the session on Monday, right? Came down. I mentioned on, if you're on my Funded Future stream or if you're on my stream yesterday, you know, very likely chop day. I mentioned a few different scenarios. We came up, front ran that prior weekly high, right? This is 3 o'clock, this down candle here. Front ran that, but we swept this high, right? Prior daily high. I had drew this little zone, okay? And then we cracked it. Came back down overnight, back into that previous session POC, I believe. Yep, previous session POC. So we have got 3-point control stacked on top of each other right now. Nice little bottom wick, higher volume bottom wick coming up here. So as we look at our plan here, by the way, if you need a link, the title says day 1. Well, I gotta fix that. It's day 2. Day 2 of the stream. I'll fix that later, not super important. But it's day 2. If you need this journal that we're going to go through, okay, this challenge, go ahead and just download it. The link is at my Stand store. It's the bottom of the stream here, stand.store/trading with Forrest. It's totally free. It has everything that we're going to go through here, right, including my trading setups, most importantly. Let me fix this in my overlay. Hold up. Technical difficulties. Peoples. We want less of this side. Yo, shout out to everybody who's ever done a stream before, because when I stream on MFF, I just have my camera. I like make this whole overlay. It's so much work, guys. I'm just like, this is what people do. Literally, that's what I was thinking. Like, people do all of this. Feels, I have mixed feelings about it, but I think it's just one of those necessary sins. I'm literally just trying to line this up so you guys can see what I write. It's kind of Kind of important, huh? Okay. All right, I don't even care. All right. So you go to Stay on that store, you download it. This is what you'll get. Okay, you get access to this overview, right? So I have a video explaining the challenge. For the next 30 days, what we're doing is we're just planning our trading day. Okay, before 9:30 a.m. I have both of my trade setups as well as videos on my system here, right? So all the source videos, how to read candlesticks, okay, how to do measured moves like me, what a naked POC is, trend lines, trends, the volume profile. Other than there's two setups. The two setups are built into this calendar. Okay, so we're going to start with the daily plan, but if you do take one of these two trades, they are pre-built in here as well, so you could just select one and then check off the boxes for why you entered that trade. Okay, very, very simple. What do we have in the chat? Go ahead and say what's up if you're here. And what we're going to do is, let's open a new one. I'll show you guys how this works. So let me delete that one. So in the calendar, wait, maybe I can make this bigger. Good morning. What's up, Greg? What's up, Dallin? What's up, Shane? So in the calendar, right, go ahead and just make a new one. It'll default to a daily plan, just like that. I wonder if I could just go to this view. This will just be easier. All right, let's just do this for now. You guys don't need to see my face every second of the chart. So there's 3 wins. You can change this to whatever you want, right? If you want to modify the default, I'll show you how to do that real quick. A bunch of housekeeping. Just go to the daily plan, click drop down arrow, daily plan, click the ellipsis, and then hit edit. Okay, and you can edit the template, okay, to whatever you want here. We're going to leave it. All right, so let's go to our daily plan. So we're going to have to swap back between this and the chart. Okay, drink a cup of water. I did all 3 of these today. Shout out to me. It's important to start your day investing in yourself. Okay, I highly recommend if you can find even 10 extra minutes every morning. 10, it doesn't need to be an hour. 10 extra minutes. Just roll out of bed, drink some water, stretch. I'm telling you, you're going to feel way better if you just give yourself, not your kids, not your partner, not anybody else, a few extra minutes every day, okay? Abhishek, good morning. What's up, man? Paolo, good morning. AB, good morning. So let's go ahead and do our analysis. We're going to start from the top, macro, down to micro. Use these bullet points. Okay, we're going to start with the weekly, go down to the daily, go down to the 4. I'm just going to delete all this. Okay, I wrote this here for you guys. Okay, feel free to modify this once you get acquainted with doing all the steps. I do these things naturally, okay, because this is my system that I developed over a few years of trading, but you need to do this for yourself. Okay, so let's go back to this view, and I'm gonna be constantly moving this around, I think, which is quite annoying. There's got to be a way to not have to do that. All right, we're just gonna switch back and forth, whatever. The main thing that I want to look at here is the chart. So let's go to our weekly. Okay, we're on the weekly on ES. Let's see where the major shelves are. So we'll get our visible range volume profile on. My framework for thinking every day is, where's the liquidity and how do we get there? Okay. That is my framework for thinking every single day. And so what you need to be asking yourselves is the same question. Okay, let's do that like that. We don't need to fix it all the way. Okay, what's liquidity and how do we get there? So on the charts right now, we still have, let's clean up these levels. Okay, highly advise you to start with a fresh chart every day as well if you can. You don't necessarily need the holdover. We still have this major node right here. Okay, very large node right here that we're inside of. So yesterday we had a pretty muted day yesterday. After hours, we broke out of the range. We're still inside of this node here on the weekly. So what I want to do on the weekly is just notate this. I could draw a zone. I'm going to use levels in this case. There is right here, okay, very, very importantly, a weekly high right here. Weekly high is right there that has confluence with the edge of this shelf. Okay, hope you all can see that. I'm just going to mark this high. I'll just do an option H for a horizontal line. I'm going to change the style of this line to orange. Get a little bit more pop there. Cool. So this is our, let's mark it with text. Okay, weekly high. Okay, that was back here on 3rd of March. Yeah. And then lower we have, you know, both of these edges here. There's kind of an imbalance here. So there's this low value area in here, right in here. Okay, there's this low value area. There's this edge of the shelf, low value, another shelf down there. So below, kind of same thing I said yesterday, we could come down and traverse this. I think because of the size of the imbalance, we'll likely come, you know, and traverse to the top of this node at least a little bit. I could even see us traversing both nodes and doing a higher low, you know, down in this area. Okay, I could see us traversing both of those nodes 100%, and we'd still be in an uptrend. Okay, it would just be filling in some of this imbalance, this low value here, and, you know, re-interacting with these people below us. There's very clearly a shelf here, okay, right, and then there's this other shelf down here. So it doesn't really matter how you notate this, by the way. I'm explaining it because this is what you need to be thinking about. You absolutely do not need to have every single idea and thought marked on your chart, right? So what I just said about how it could go here, or I could see it traversing, okay, I'm going to write that down, right? But you don't need to have every single thing marked on your chart. You just need to have enough marked to where you can remember every single idea. Okay, so on the weekly, let's write this in. On the weekly, below, let's just do on the, let's go like this, weekly. So below we have two nodes that could both be traversed to fill in that imbalance, right? And we'll just add this image here. Boom, nice little copy paste. Above us, again, there's that weekly high. And for this price action, what I'm seeing on the weekly, I'm looking for something on the lowers that shows that we're going to have, you know, a very bearish kind of move down to fill this in. Okay, we'll talk about that, what that would look like in a second. And above is the weekly high that has confluence with the edge of this node. What's up, IV Saken? How you living? Welcome to the Force. I was also not trying to wear these gaming headphones, but my other ones didn't work, so 2 days of technical difficulties in a row. It's all good though. I don't need to look cool. Terry, what's up, Terry? Welcome to the party. All right, so that's the weekly time frame knocked out. So now we go down to the daily, okay? And we're not in a rush. On the daily, we want to see, is anything changed significantly? Also, I'm using the visible range volume profile. It's going to show me the volume profile, whatever's on my screen. So I try to angle major pivots, right, on the edge of my screen. Also, as we approach this higher price action, okay, I want to make sure that I can see some nodes for the higher price action if we play around in these prices. So I'm going to put my screen right around here. Okay, so we're on the daily chart, still very clearly in an uptrend. Market's kind of squeezing. It's one of these, okay, right now. Coming to this level, we're still in this node, just like yesterday. Above, below us, we have kind of this trend line confluence. Though you can see that the trend line is well within this node, but we still do have this very obvious shelf here. Okay, I'll just notate this as the edge of daily shelf. Okay, so that's the edge of our daily shelf. And I'm going to make this line orange just so it matches. I could make the lines different colors based off of the time frame it's from. Used to do that. Don't think it matters much for me anymore. Do whatever you want, guys. The goal of this isn't for you to do things exactly like me in terms of how you mark up your charts. I do want you to think like me. I think I'm pretty good at thinking about the markets. But use whatever colors, mark up whatever you want. Does not matter. Okay, so we're going to copy this image. We're going to add it to our notes over here. Okay, and we'll just add some thoughts. On the daily, we are clearly inside of this node still. There is confluence below with the trend line and the edge of this major VP node. Okay, so we have some very clear levels. I don't really need too many more levels outside of this. I could draw levels down here, right? Like there's a node down here and I could just have it on my chart. That I don't think is wise. One thing I will say in terms of marking your charts, try to have as little data as possible. As little stuff on your charts as possible. In my opinion. So maybe I do have an opinion about that. All right, so let's go to the 4 hour. Taking a look at the 4. Is everything making sense so far? If something's not making sense, go ahead, ask the question. So on the 4 hour, this is where we'll start to add the session VP. So I'm going to re-enable the session volume profile HD. Okay. If you don't have these indicators on your charts, I guess I could add these to this doc. I'll do that after, if anybody needs it. Okay, so let's talk about VP trends and things like that. It's kind of an advanced idea. It got brought up on Sunday or Saturday when I was talking to my some of the people who sign up for a course and students, whatever. Look at where the red lines are. Okay, obviously we're in an uptrend. The last 3 POCs, right, these red lines have stacked higher. So across the 3 sessions, most of the volume is here. Now you would see the same thing on the visible range, right? There's a node literally right here on the visible range, go figure, right? Now the visible range isn't going to show you how this formed though over time. The candlesticks, but we can kind of see how we're stacking POCs higher and higher. Okay, the trend of this and how these forms, as well as how many back-to-back D-shaped VPs we have, P-shapes, is useful information. I'm not going to say it's critical. It's useful information depending on how you can like intuit about it. Okay, what I'm looking for is, okay, yesterday closed a pretty much a D-shaped VP, right? Gave us a nice little short. I held a short for ever yesterday after we set prior day high as well. That was the literal one trade I took. It was just the short, which printed. If you guys watched the markets end of day yesterday, it's a nice little short there. We have like a P shape, kind of a crappy D shape, and then a D shape VP. Okay, so the market's still congested in this area. I need to see volume build outside of this, and I need some meaningfully different shaped VP, okay, for us to get extension. Remember, CPI is on Wednesday, and there's no data today. So on the micro, the 4 hour is a small time frame for me. I know some people trade much lower time frames, but I'm not some people. Forrest night. So we have stacked VPs overall in a D shape. Market is ranging heavily. Data on Wednesday and Thursday. So very likely, I'm already thinking today is going to be kind of similar to yesterday. Overnight as well, by the way. Okay. Look at how much action we got overnight. I was kind of mad when I woke up because I thought we were going to get some play, and I was asleep. I missed it completely. Okay, you can see we came down. We bounced off of this node very, very nicely. Okay. Market moved away, got sucked back in. bounced off of this previous shelf here very clearly. Long bottom wicks, higher, relatively higher volume on this wick as well. Okay, we'll increase our volume bars. This is overnight volume, but you can see here that this volume was relatively higher volume with this bottom wick, right? Rejecting the prices in this auction, right? This group of people here, right? So we came into here, people showed up to play. They said, nope, we actually want to go back higher, rejecting this. Okay, we're still front running this trend line though, coincidentally enough, so that'll be interesting. I am curious if this is going to break lower or if this was the low of the day and we're going to grind higher. It's very possible this is the low of the day and we're going to get a very grindy move up higher, something like that. We'll see. It is a lower quality day though, again, because there is no catalyst today and we have CPI tomorrow. Today's job, the story of today, is to get the market in a meaningful place pre-CPI so that CPI can do its thing. Okay, that's how I think about pre-data days. The market's going to get to a location and it is going to rest there, very, very likely until the major data move. Okay, if you watch a couple hundred data moves, you'll see that that's very often the case. We do have some nice green. Okay, so let's take the 1 hour chart. On the 1 hour, we have strong rejection out of the node lower with higher volume around, it's probably EU open. Let's see what time frame this was. Yep, 3 o'clock. This could be the, when I do this, part of the reason I'm able to do this so consistently every day is I'm not writing it out, everything. Another thing that I'll do sometimes is I will put voice notes in here, right? So work smart. Don't be afraid of taking your time though either. Okay. I'm usually just sipping coffee and chilling. So what's my action plan? I want to look at a few other things though, before we get to the action plan. So we have that on the 1 hour. I do want to take a look at NQ. Okay. See if there's anything dramatically different on NQ. Let's go to the daily. NQ daily. Let's check our trend line. We still have higher highs and higher lows. We did put in a higher high. We have higher lows still coming in. We still have this trend line here. Tighten that up a little bit. There's this node that we're in here. That was the lower alert. What's fun about yesterday is my alert hit that I had set for the high, and then I basically just took a look at the markets and I just was like, all right, stop on short. It was done. Same node. So we have this node here. There's a node lower. We'll just notate this. Very similar VP structure on NQ. We are inside of this node. Market is, I don't want to use the word squeezing, let's say consolidating sharply. I'm thinking of squeezing, but it's literally just like, forming a wedge basically. Consolidating strongly. And let's take a look at, actually, let's go back to the 1 hour and let's look at these session VPs here. So around this time, what I'm always curious about is, let's imagine we had a bar. Let's imagine it was the same time, but the market was like down here still. Or the market was like, down here and the POC was still higher. I want to see, like, is there an obvious magnet to move us towards? Right now, there isn't, because we're so close to the POC. Okay, so this isn't necessarily where I would take a trade. Down here would have been a nice little entry. Pine Tree Trader, what's up? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. I think you were on, weren't you on MFF stream yesterday? I missed your, I think you got on after I got off, but good morning, man. Welcome. Just doing some little daily prep here with the group. So that's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of, right? Are there any VP magnets that we've moved away from? My general, so if you look at the plays, by the way, we're going to come to our action plan. Okay, we'll come back to that. So if you hit new, let's go back to ARC real quick. For anyone who doesn't have this, by the way, it's at the link. It's totally free. Just go to stan.store/trading with Forrest. Okay, it's the link at the bottom of my stream here. Stan.store/trading with Forrest. I'll give you this document. Okay. These trade setups are basically both mean reversion trades. Okay, so I take a lot of mean reversion trades. I do trend continuation trades as well. Okay, I am just in some like swing longs that I've been holding for a minute, which because we're ranging, you know, has been up and down and up and down, and then a little bit more up, and then, you know, a little bit more up and things like that. But both of those are in here. Why? Well, the VP gives you, because we trade the edges, right? The VPE system is all about finding the edges of the auctions and then trading from level to level. But these are built into here, okay? What are those 4 key levels? Let's mark those out real quick. So we're looking for confluence with the auction with the obvious edges. Okay, there are obvious edges formed every single day. Now, these aren't just daily, right? The weekly level that I called out, at the very first level that I threw up here, right? Confluence. Let's go to the 1 weekly. Okay. This level up here is confluence with a node and a weekly high. That's what we're looking for with our RTH levels. Okay. It's just that on the RTH levels, they form every day. Okay. There's 4 of them. I'm going to mark them up and then take them off because it is going to be noisy, but it's overnight low. Okay, let's just mark that, do whoa, that's not what we want. Okay, we'll just do an ONL, overnight low, overnight high. It's option J, by the way, if you're on Mac. I think it's Alt J if you're on a different computing device. Overnight high, prior day low, and prior day high. Now, prior day low and prior day high, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong day. Prior day low and prior day high already swept here. What do I mean by sweep? The market went through those prices. Okay, I'll mention it again. I'll probably have to say this a lot. I can't assume everyone's heard this. There's something called the last man theory. Okay, I'm sure it's not an original thought, but I did just kind of make it up. So in auction mechanics, how I think of an auction, okay, there is somebody who at this point in time went long, okay, and there's somebody who overnight, 3 a.m. just now, went short. Those people are both red, funnily enough. They got screwed. They're at the edges of the auction. Okay, so when we come back to either of these prices, let's imagine that we come back to the person who's short. Say that the market comes back to this level here, overnight low. Okay, the last person to short here, once they're taken out, there's going to be a vacuum of buy-side pressure. As we approach these prices, all of the people who shorted here are going to be going long, right? There'll be an increase in market aggressors on the long side as they look to get out. Okay, that's why we often, when we have a D-shaped volume profile in particular, when we sweep one side, prior day low, prior day high, right? Those are really good mean reversion trades, right? Because we've gotten rid of the incentive for the market to continue. We've swept that level. We got the last man, and it's going to mean revert. It's literally what happened yesterday after we swept prior day high in ES. Okay. So, also, just some statistics for you, something to keep in mind. Very unlikely to sweep prior day low and prior day high. Okay, or vice versa. Okay, you'll sweep one side, right? You're not going to sweep all 4 levels in a day. We're in an uptrend, so that should give you a clue into what side is going to get swept. Okay, we're much more likely to sweep prior day high. Okay, sweeping prior day low would give us a lower low, but we have higher lows. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our daily plan. So open this up, scroll down a little bit. So what is my action plan for today? Well, I would have liked to take this long. This is a trade that I was looking for. I was looking for it lower though. So I don't know if I would have entered off of this regardless. Going into the open, I have less intuition about today, I guess, going into the open. It's 819 right now than yesterday. This is very likely to range just because we have this D-shaped volume profile. There is this little pocket of volume up here. Okay. I am expecting us to continue our uptrend though. I will say that, right? So I'm expecting trend continuation until the market proves otherwise, right? Until the market proves otherwise. What I would really like is a higher time frame signal candle. If you're curious what my signal candles are, you can check out the videos in this document. Okay, they're up here, right? I have 7 videos that I've included here. I think they're in there. I might need to add a video. But a signal candle is a high volume shooting star, hammer candle, or a doji at the edge, right, at one of our key levels. That's what I would like to get. Will we get that? I don't know. But today, keep it simple. Nope. Just keep it simple. Look for a trade at prior day high or prior day low. But in this case, it's going to be overnight high or overnight low. Okay. Those are the only key levels, or the macro levels I marked up. That's it, right? I will mention, I don't have to write all of this down. Okay. I've already talked about it as I was doing the planning. But again, the market is consolidating. Okay. The range is getting smaller and smaller. We are in this node on the hires. Okay. I'm going to remove this overnight low and high. Like I said, I'm going to mark them so you guys can see them. Those are the 4 areas to look for every single day. Usually when I'm trading is I'll just put an alert on these levels. And I'm telling you guys, I do not care what the market does until we hit these edges, like straight up. Okay. So when I'm not streaming, I just have alerts set. When I'm on stream, I'll just watch it because, you know, I'm sitting here at my desk anyways. But most of the time, if I'm just trading and I'm not, you know, doing something for somebody else, I literally just set the alerts and I just walk away. I don't care what happens until we get to these prices. Let's go to the 1 real quick. 4. Yeah, we could have a strong open, you know, that's fine. Holding longs, like I said yesterday, holding longs in this market, print money, okay? If for some reason, by the way, maybe if CPI comes in better than expected tomorrow, for what? For a pop higher, or like a break of this trend? But in general, I was gonna say, if you're somebody who trades against the trend, reconsider that. I do think that it is harder, and you're likely to end up changing eventually, anyways. Forrest, how many trades do you take per day? Right now, like 1 or 2. I'm basically every day looking for, especially in this uptrend, it's like very simple. Okay, let's just go back to this point in time, right? After we've had this trend line established pretty well here. If I'm looking for trades, I'm just looking for this trend line to get touched, right? Very, very simple. Okay, and some confluence with whatever node we're in. So I'll zoom out, get some more VP structure in here. So I want as strong of a possible entry on the long side in this uptrend, right? So every single day, I'm just asking myself, is this the low of the day? If I think this is the low of the day, I'll go long. If not, then it's a suboptimal trade in an uptrend. Anything other than trying to long the low of the day, by the way, is a worse trade than this trade in an uptrend. Think about it, okay? It doesn't matter how good you did on any of these sessions, right? In an uptrend, the best trade is going to be the low of the day. You could make an argument for this little, pullback here. But generally speaking, okay, you're not going to get better R than me if I say RR doesn't matter. So I don't think it does. The best R is going to be at the edges, okay, mathematically. That's why I say it doesn't matter, because my system accounts for it. Okay, so you play the market forward some more. Boom, you get your trend line touch. Okay, you go long. Just go long down here. Ask myself, is it likely this is the low of the day? Maybe. All right, let's put a stop down here. Okay, put my stop past this low. My sim trade just disappeared for some reason. Oh, I did the wrong line, I'm pretty sure. So let's assume that I think we're in an uptrend, so we're going to do a higher high, right? This makes sense. We're in an uptrend. This seems pretty far away, but we're uptrending. So we absolutely, undoubtedly, will smack that target, and that's exactly what we did. It took, in this case, 14 hours. Okay, 14 hours is not a long amount of time. Not a long amount of time at all. Unless you're trading, really low time frames. So that's just a brain off trade right there, straight up. Brain off. If you capture 70% of this, you're getting like 60 points. If it comes in hotter than expected, maybe the market will turn and fill to the next node. Just a thought. I don't read the data for speculation. I don't believe at all that data points affect intraday speculation at all. I see catalyst purely as a fast forward button for what was going to happen anyways. Why do I think that? Well, because the market is an auction. The example that I always use, okay, let's go to something that everybody knows about. Got to run my team meeting here in 4 minutes. Just in the plan, by the way, so to make sure we tie this up, I am just going to be looking for my key levels today. What the heck did I put? Overnight high at OBH. If I buy a bunch, Apple's at 201 right now, okay? Let's go to the monthly on Apple. And let's say that I longed Apple down here, okay? I longed Apple. My basis is $25. This is why the news doesn't matter, right? I look at the price today. Apple's at 201. CPI data comes out. I'm not selling my shares of Apple. The only thing that's going to make me possibly consider selling my shares of Apple is I hit retirement age, okay? It's way up here, or something catastrophic happens and Apple approaches my entry. Okay, so people react to being either in exceptional levels of profit or greed. The market generally, which is full of speculators, people trying to buy things today based off their expectation of future price, is not necessarily driven by even intraday business practices, right? So things like CPI, interest rates, all of that will affect, the cost of money, your ability to leverage money, build, and like leverage capital expenditures in your business. Super complicated stuff. Point is, all that's slow, okay? It's slow. So does the macro economy matter? 1 billion%. Of course it does. But for intraday speculation, the numbers, I have not looked at a single tier 1 data point like the value in years. I'm telling, like, in years. But I have been able to tell you exactly what's going to happen if there was a setup, right? If the trade has a setup, I could tell you what the market was going to do around those data points, because the market has to react to where people are positioned. Because what we're actually looking at, again, is not necessarily a random walk in prices or anything like that, right? It's decision making in mass. So that's kind of how I think about data. I just don't really think about it at all. It's just the timing that's important. You're welcome, Trim Trader. I'm good at hodl trades. Not really. I mean, I'm still a day trader, and for the most part, swing trade quite a bit as well. I guess technically holding across sessions. I'm in a swing long right now, but the reason that I trade this time frame is it is the most profitable time frame for me, in my opinion, and it's a way easier. I would reckon, like, let's say over the past week or so, last week, let's say I did like 1,000 points on NQ, right, and a handful of trades, and there are people out there who took like 50 trades, who barely, cracked 100 points, and a ticker that's doing like, the range last week was basically 1,000 points. If you just, only played longs, you get at least 500. So I try to boil the game of trading down to as simple as possible to achieve my goal, which is making money, right? It's not to figure out what's going to happen in the next candle, I think, which is very popular. Like when you get to very low time frames, it's like, I got to be able to tell you what's going to, it's like, I don't care. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Do not give a fuck. Next 4 hours, the next day, that's what I'm thinking about. But that's it. I got to go run a team call for my business. Check out the Move Miami, by the way, if you want to film anything here in Florida. Come hang out. Pine Tree Trader Terry, if you ever want to come get interviewed, or anybody for that matter of fact, hit me up. Come hang out. You can check it out. I run a brick and mortar media company, which is crazy. I don't know why I do that either. But yeah, I will be on MFF stream in about 30 minutes. Plan every day, guys. Be smart. Write stuff down. Hold yourself accountable. And that's all I got.